What's up, everybody? Uh, this is Blackbeard. I, uh, I kind of want to start by saying that I absolutely love YouTube. I love it. I'm on it every single day. Um, the internet's so cluttered, full of dumb fucking shit. It's all this political crap. I hate Facebook. I hate Twitter. YouTube is different. YouTube really does kind of show, I think, what the internet, like the good side of the internet is, which is, people being able to freely exchange ideas. And I've really kind of wanted to be a part of that in some way. I have uploaded a few videos on this channel. I have like 8 subscribers. I don't know who the hell they are. The videos I've uploaded were, it was a couple of gun review videos, and there was a video of me walking Pickett's charge in Gettysburg. But that's I've never really gotten a lot of hits, responses. So I'm gonna try something a little differently this time. One of my big passions in life, ever since I was an adolescent, was or not necessarily a passion, but interest, was the criminal justice system in this country, and the way that the courts handle certain cases, punishments that are given out. I always found that really, really interesting, and quite frankly, it scares the shit out of me. Some of the ways our criminal justice system is handled certain cases. And today I want to talk about a particular case that I've thought about a lot. I have some opinions on, and I'm interested to hear others' opinions on. That's the case of Daniel Holtzclaw. I'm going to explain some facts about the case, about him, about his trial, and I'm not going to give my opinion on it till the end. And I'm going to try and be, I don't really have a good opinion on the case, I don't think. I kind of think that's the main point of me wanting to post this, is I want to hear what people have to say about it. But Daniel Holtzclaw was a college football standout. I think he went to Eastern Michigan, and his goal was to be an NFL linebacker. He did not make the cut. He did not make it to the NFL, and instead he followed the family tradition of being a police officer. After college, he was hired by the Oklahoma City Police Department, and he was on the job for, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years in total. He was known around the department as a tough officer, as a very go-get-em kind of officer. He wanted to catch the bad guys. That was the reputation that he had. Everything changed on one particular night when a woman came forward. I don't know her name off the top of my head. I'm not going to list names of the victims or anything like that, mostly because I don't have notes in front of me. If you want to look them up, you can. But a woman came forward and said that Officer Holtzclaw pulled her over, forced her into the back of his squad car, forced her to expose herself, and basically sexually assaulted her. Now, Holtzclaw was immediately pulled in for questioning. He was questioned and investigated by a woman named Kim Davis. It's a detective specialized in sexual assault crimes, was about to retire, but either put off retirement or came out of retirement in order to handle this case. She interviewed him for, I think it was about 2 hours. The interview is on YouTube. I have seen it. At the end of which he was suspended without pay. He was, they took away his gun and his badge while they further investigated this. They took his uniform and they did a forensic analysis on his uniform, and they did find an unknown female DNA amount or sample, whatever you want to call it, on his pants. When this DNA test was, or sample was tested, it did not match the victim that came forward. It did not match Holtzclaw's current girlfriend. It was an unknown sample of an unknown person. So that led Kim Davis to investigate this further. And, this is where it kind of gets thrown off for me. She was able to look at this and say, and basically make a profile, kind of label him as a serial rapist, and make a profile of middle-aged black women based on one person that came forward. And what they did was they started looking into all of his traffic stops, any middle-aged black women that he had pulled over in the last, 6 to 8 months or so. And they found several of them. And they started going door to door. Hey, did this officer do anything inappropriate with you? And then the floodgates opened. One after another, after another, after another. These women came forward. They all fit the profile. They all said the same thing. They were pulled over. Their names were run. They were found to have warrants or past charges of drug possession or prostitution. And once Officer Holtzclaw found this out, he sexually assaulted these women. He raped some. He forced some to expose themselves. He forced some to give him oral sex. If I'm not mistaken, there were 13 victims in total. The last one in which to come forward was a 17-year-old female who they found matched the DNA sample on his pants. Immediately, he was arrested. He was tried for multiple sexual assaults. He was convicted. I think it was on December 10th, 2015, which was actually his 29th birthday. He was convicted on 18 of his 36 charges and sentenced to 263 years in prison. Or, more easily put, a fucking life sentence. He has maintained his innocence, which a lot of criminals do. To me, that means absolutely nothing. During the trial, the defense claimed that the witnesses or the victims were not credible. Every single one of them, with the exception of the first person to come forward, had a laundry list of past crimes, mostly drug use, drug possession, prostitution. There were witnesses that showed up to court high on PCP. They tried to discredit them because of this. In the end, it didn't work. There was some evidence using the GPS system in Holtzclaw's vehicle that showed that he would pull victims over and then go to strange locations like behind closed storefronts for periods of time, which kind of corroborated the stories of the victims. So anyways, that's the story. And again, to this day, he maintains his innocence. There are things that bother me about this case. Number one, I know it shouldn't, but it does, and I guarantee you, people who look into this will agree with me, even if they don't admit it. The guys that are watching this will agree with me. His girlfriend at the time, before he was put in prison, he had a girlfriend, and she was, or is, drop-dead gorgeous. So that leads to the obvious question: why is he sexually assaulting middle-aged women? I don't understand that. There are theories of he wanted the power. He wanted to show power over these women, and I can get that, but I guess to me that's just sort of a red flag. Number two is he was known by everybody who knew him well as being very gentle. He he wasn't in, his girlfriend took the stand, says he wasn't into anything weird sexually. It just seems really odd that somebody who's normal by all accounts would have a compulsion to rape to become a serial rapist. Like, there would be other red flags. That always bothered me a little bit when I first started looking into this, and I first started, reading about the trial and what was said by both sides. And the one piece of evidence to me that was damning was not the DNA evidence. And I'm going to get into the DNA evidence in a second. What it wasn't, it was the whole thing with the GPS, where he couldn't explain why he would pull over this woman and then go and hide behind a store for 10 minutes. He didn't have an explanation for that, whereas the victims had a very clear explanation for that. He took them back there to rape them. There was another one where he tried to Facebook friend a woman after he had pulled her over and supposedly raped her. He went to her house to check on her. He never had a good explanation as to why he did this. Those are red flags in the other direction. Now, according to the prosecution and the jury, the smoking gun in the case was the DNA that was found on his pants that came from the last victim that came forward. Now, this is the gray area for me. I've heard different stories. I've heard that the DNA was skin cell DNA, which could have come from just skin-on-skin contact. I've been told that in the trial it was led on to believe that it was vaginal DNA, which it really was not. I've heard that it was if it's on the inside of his pants, there's no reason for it to be on the inside of his pants. But I've also heard, for anybody who wears, jeans or khakis, like the flap on your zipper, that opens up so you get to your zipper, that it was on the inside of that. And, if there were skin cells there, if there was some kind of skin-to-skin contact, any guy knows that you're down there and you're adjusting your shit. It happens. Admit it. You do it. I don't know. Again, this is the question mark, and that, there are DNA scientists right now trying to reinvestigate it, but the courts won't allow them to do so. They're trying to bring forth new evidence, and I don't know a lot about that. I'm hoping somebody could share that with me. What kind of DNA was it? Where was it on the pants? How plausible could this DNA have gotten there other than sexual contact? If it's on the inside of his flap and it's skin cells, I think it's very plausible. If it's on the inside of his pants and it's more of like a liquid, like a bodily liquid, then no, it's very unlikely that it's anything other than sexual contact that got it there. So, these are really important questions, I think, that should be answered, because let me explain to you why I'm talking about this case in particular, and this is the important part. In my opinion, this guy, Daniel Holtzclaw, has been dealt the worst possible punishment a human being could possibly take. It's a fate worse than death. He is a former police officer accused of being a serial rapist against black women. Now, I want you to think about that for a second, and I'm not trying to be racist here, but think about that for a second. He is the most hated person in the history of the fucking prison system. He cannot have human interaction within the prison. Everybody in that prison wants to kill him, other than the guards, but you can't be friends with guards. He will be in solitary confinement. Now, keep in mind, he was convicted on his 29th birthday. So think about it, from your 29th birthday and for the rest of your life, you are literally locked in a box by yourself every single day after day, month after month, year after year, by yourself. It's torture. It is. Now, let me make this very clear. If he did it, he deserves this, because what he did, what he was accused of, is the worst possible thing, the worst possible crime you could commit, as far as I'm concerned. Rape is worse than murder. You are literally ruining people's lives but forcing them to continue to live them. However, in order to sentence somebody to what he has been sentenced to, you better be goddamn sure that he did what they claim that he did. Which is why I'm bringing it up, which is why I'm asking you these questions. To close this out, I'm gonna answer two questions. Number one, I'm gonna give you my opinion on what I think happened, and number two, I'm gonna tell you what I would have said if I was on that jury. First, do I think he did it? Yeah, I think he did it. it just doesn't make any sense for all these women who didn't know each other to all come forward and all say that this guy did this to them. Uh, it was proven in court, and Daniel Holtzclaw admitted it himself, that he did pull all these women over. This was not by coincidence. He did pull these women over, and they all gave very similar versions as to what he did to them and how it's beyond coincidence to me that all of these women came forward and said that this happened. If I was on that jury, I would have voted not guilty, and it would have broken my heart, and it would have probably haunted me for the rest of my life, but I would have had to do it because the evidence was weak. The evidence was weak. Again, skin cell DNA on the pants is not strong DNA evidence. And it's unfortunate, but they really should have started digging. And I have a theory on that this didn't take place too long after the whole Ferguson riot thing happened. And there were activist groups that were breathing down Oklahoma City's neck saying, you guys need to get this right, and you guys need to fix this shit quick and get this fucker in jail. They were in a rush. The whole process between when he was accused and when he was convicted would happen very quickly, actually. Normally these things are stretched out for years. This actually happened reasonably quickly. But they should have done their due diligence, made sure that they had the right guy. There were some weird inconsistencies involving eyewitness testimony. Some of the accusers claimed the attacker was short. Daniel Holtzclaw is 6'3". Some of the attackers claimed the victims claimed the attacker was black. Daniel Holtzclaw he's like half white, half Asian. So it was, I'm not convinced. You got to look at, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Do I have a reasonable doubt? It's really borderline on this one. But again, borderline's got to go to you don't torture the guy for the rest of his life if you're not pretty damn sure that he's the guy. So again, do I think he did it? Yeah, I think he did it. Do I think he should be in prison right now? No, I think he needs a retrial. I think they need to look into this some more. Let's be sure before we put somebody through that. Anyways, I hope that somebody, I hope that YouTube finds this interesting. I really do. I really want to add my input onto YouTube, and and I've looked on YouTube for videos like this of people giving their opinions on a subject like this, and you don't see it anywhere. So anyways, I hope somebody has something to say on this. I look forward to all comments. I will respond to everybody who responds to this, because I want to hear what people have to say. What did I miss? Am I mistaken somewhere? Let's try and stick with facts. Let's figure out. Let's try and piece together what happened. Because this again, like I said, this bothered me, the way it went down. But anyways, I'm going to see how this does. If people like it, I'll do it again. But thanks for watching.